How's it going, folks? Welcome to the video. Today's background noise brought to you by a fan chirping birds and roosters. Oh god, how I hate roosters. Today we're tackling our second question in the series of questions that we take from Yahoo Answers and answer in video form as opposed to text form. And it is, as you can see below, am I attractive? Am I good looking? Am I handsome? Am I pretty? Something like that. Because it's a pretty common question. Yeah, I've been on Yahoo Answers for years, like 7 or 8 years at least, on and off. I don't use it regularly, obviously, but I'm aware of it, and I've seen this question throughout the years, and I guess it's not surprising to see it consistently. Maybe it's a pretty natural question to want to ask, but I think it's important to talk about, and I should say in this video I'm not going to be tackling if or not a person is attractive, but rather why a person might want to ask this question. So I want to acknowledge first that it may well be, in some cases, the person is not asking seriously. They're just trying to be funny, or they're trying to see, what kind of maybe they're already confident people, but they're trying to see what kind of validation they can get, in which case, if you're doing that, you're very sad. Please get a life. But for every person like that, there is a person who seems to be genuinely, honestly, very self-conscious about the way they look, very down about the way they look, and they're simply looking for somebody to say something nice about them. And it's okay to want that sometimes. So yeah, like I've said, the question has been, consistently featured on that site. People are always asking it. It's usually very simple, am I good looking? And then there's a link to a picture somewhere, with the person's face, obviously. Now, I won't be featuring anybody in this video. I'm not going to be taking anyone's picture from Yahoo Answers and showing it, because I don't think that's fair or right, and it's also not the point that I want to make with this video. There are some things that we need to talk about, and I guess let's start with what you're looking for when you ask this question. You're looking for, I guess, first and foremost, you're looking for somebody to say that yes, you are good looking. Because that would make you feel better. Maybe you've been recently discouraged. You asked somebody out and they said no, or somebody made an offhand remark like, oh, you look ugly, or something like that, and they weren't really thinking about what they were saying, or they were just being a jerk. Either way, that got under your skin and it made you think, it made you feel bad about yourself, and now you're here on Yahoo Answers, or indeed YouTube, asking this question for somebody to help pull you out of this, little rut that you're in now, feeling so bad about yourself. It's a sort of cliche that you will hear throughout life. It's sort of like, you can't love somebody else until you learn to love yourself first. It's like that. Maybe it's not a cliche, it's just something people say, but here it's quite true in a lot of ways. If you're not comfortable with how you look as a person, then it will be very difficult for somebody else to turn around and say that you're attractive, because it'll be very obvious that you're not comfortable in who you are as a person. So you need to work on getting into a place where you're comfortable with how you look as a person. Look at me. It's obvious to you, if you have eyes, that I am not an attractive man, okay? I've got this big ass nose in the middle of my face that is even worse than it used to be, because I don't know if you can tell, but I got it broken pretty badly a couple of years ago in kickboxing, and these hideously malformed teeth that appear to be trying to escape from my skull, and beyond that, I suppose there's the personality issues as well, but they're not, outward and objective. You can't really see those. The main thing is this. A couple of years ago, I might have asked this question online because I was feeling very self-conscious about the way I looked too. I was pretty darn sure that I was very ugly. A lot of girls had turned me down when I asked them out, and I was not feeling very good about myself. It wasn't until really years later, when I was in college, that I gained an appreciation for beauty standards and looking at somebody and declaring them attractive or not, or indeed looking at anything and declaring it to be beautiful or not. So I want to talk about that pretty briefly. I was in college, had a class with this lecturer who taught me a very valuable lesson this day, but was overall a bit of a douche, and we all hated him. But yeah, that's not the point here. He asked us at the top of the class, he said, what is beautiful? What is beautiful? And, a couple of us maybe offered some examples like, a sunrise, or the moon, or, Cheryl Crow? No. Sheryl Cole. There we go. And yeah, he was like, right, well, you know, we're all offering up answers here, but nobody's really agreeing on this. Is it that beauty is maybe opinion-based, subjective? And we all agreed that it was. That's a big deal here. We need to recognize that fact. Beauty is subjective. If you go down the road of asking a question like this online, you will invariably get people saying, yeah, you're good looking, or nah, you're kind of ugly, you should really hide that face of yours. And it doesn't really matter what those answers are actually, because at the end of the day you're going to recognize the fact that you actually can't take their opinions for granted, because they're just that, they're opinions, and you'll never get satisfaction asking the question, am I attractive, online. No one is qualified to tell you you're attractive or unattractive. It is not their place. It is none of their business to interfere in your life and to affect your self-esteem. So do not let anyone tell you that you're unattractive. And also, do not let yourself get into the idea that you're unattractive. Just don't go there. It's one of those things that's incredibly self-destructive and insidious, kind of like how an eating disorder is, and that it gets inside your head and it begins to unravel you. It starts to eat away at your armor, your self-esteem, and it causes you to dissolve into thinking about these things, and makes it very hard to find a resolution, to find satisfaction, and to come to a point where you're comfortable in who you are as a person. I don't want you to ever rely on the opinions of strangers to feel good about yourself, because it's not a healthy place to be emotionally. You need to be able to look inward and say, I'm fine with who I am as a person, I can't change who I am as a person, so I need to make the best of it. I need to become very happy in my own skin, and I need to learn that this is who I am. I shouldn't fight it, rather I should work with it. My current girlfriend is many times too attractive for me, but she became my girlfriend not because I was like, hey, do you think I'm attractive? I'm kinda ugly, haven't I? She became my girlfriend because I decided to put those thoughts aside long ago and just to have fun, you know, to be more myself, to be relaxed, and to be able to make jokes and stuff like that, not to be clearly wrapped up in whatever, you know, difficulties or things I had to consolidate about myself, like things I wasn't satisfied about. I'm very aware that I'm imperfect looking, but at the end of the day, there are things that I can exercise control over and things that I cannot. I can work out all day long, for example, but I cannot do anything about this. And honestly, nor would I want to, because though this face has made many an infant cry, has, you know, scared baby animals, what am I saying? It's still the face that, you know, I had when I got my girlfriend, and it wasn't just my face, you know, it was who I was as a person. She said that, you know, she read my message on OkCupid, she had a look at my profile, and she found that appealing, you know, it was that caught her attention, not just the way that I look. This highlights, or should highlight for you, the honest-to-goodness fact that how you look has really only a very limited part to play in if or not somebody will find you attractive. And look, I know this is an unsatisfying answer. You're not just looking for somebody to say, oh, it doesn't matter that you don't look perfect, you don't look like Brad Pitt or whatever, it doesn't matter. You're not looking for that, you're also looking for some validation. And you can be given that validation if you want. Somebody will give it to you. Someone will turn around and say, yeah, you're good looking. But at the end of the day, is that really going to satisfy you? It's not, because, like I've said, the opinions of strangers, and indeed just being told in general that you're attractive, is not going to satisfy you, because you're going to learn that it's just an opinion. That it's just, you know, a subjective appraisal of your outward, you know, appearance, and if or not someone finds it attractive. And it's so taste-based, it's so, you know, subject to change, and it's so flightful and, you know, fanciful and all that sort of stuff. It's got nothing to do with anything consistent or, you know, tangible. It's just an idea. You don't have to get caught up in it, and you should not get caught up in it. again, I want to say that I understand where people are coming from when they ask this question. It's probably because they've had their self-esteem broken down. But look at what I've been saying throughout this video. I don't believe that asking these questions is the right way to build back up your self-esteem. When you find yourself really asking, like, oh gosh, am I attractive? Will anyone ever find me attractive? That's, you know, understandably a dark place to go to. It's understandably something that makes you panic, because everybody wants to be compatible with somebody else. Everybody wants someone to find them, you know, appealing, attractive, nice to be with. But this physical, this outward thing is such a small part of it, and you really need to take a step back and recognize that fact and not let it invade your mind and get you so down. In summation, kind of, if you find yourself having these thoughts, I want you to try and not let it get to a place where you're having to ask these sorts of questions, because I feel if that's happened, you've let it go too far. The question of if or not you're attractive is something that no one has any business answering and affecting your perception of yourself with, so you shouldn't let it become, you know, part of your thoughts or something that's featured heavily in your mind. If you're attractive, it's because you're a good person, you're a well-rounded person with, you know, cool or engaging interests or thoughts about things. You like to, you know, contribute positively to your friend group and stuff like that. If you also happen to have a face that most people would turn around and say is pleasing to look at, then that's a really cool, happy coincidence, and, you know, good for you, man, stroke woman. You know, it doesn't matter really all that much in the end. So, you know, really, if you're feeling unattractive, it's less a case of what you're seeing in the mirror and more a case of you not, oh gosh, I feel a tangent coming on. It's more a case of you not having the self-esteem built up to the point where you recognize that your outward appearance isn't the end-all and be-all of if or not you are an attractive person. Tangent really quickly, I'll try to do this really fast. When I was younger, I was bullied, I was picked on a lot. It wasn't just about my physical appearance, it was also about the fact that I was, you know, there wasn't very much to me. And that's because when you're young, there isn't very much to you, because as a young person, you are an unfinished person. If those people came to me today, the people who picked on me came to me today, and they were like, you know, oh Luke, you're so lame and boring and gay and stupid, that would bounce off me. Like, it would roll off me like water off a duck's back. Because as an older, more experienced person, I have accrued things that add to who I am and substantiate my being. Being a complete, you know, an attractive, appealing person isn't just about, you know, having a nice face. It's also about having had gone through stuff and being formed and made up by stuff that makes you more to engage with as a person, if you understand me. Like, for example, I have traveled, I have been through college, I have been through relationships, I have seen and done many things that make me a stronger, more complete person, and that person is less easy to dismantle, to deride, to break down the self-esteem of because of those experiences. You may be feeling unattractive simply because you haven't had those experiences, and you have less to prop up your self-esteem with as a fact, as a result of that. So do not focus on the outward, focus on making yourself better. Find things that challenge you. If you want to have good self-esteem, you have to complete esteemable acts. You have to put yourself out there and do things that, you know, make you more esteemable. Because at the end of the day, we're all trying to distract everybody from how we look, because nobody is 100% happy with how they look. And so we're trying to focus on and have people focus on the other things about ourselves. For example, I don't want anyone to come up to me and say, wow, Luke, your nose is super cool. Wow, who did that for you, you know? Or your teeth are really pretty, Luke. Gosh, you know, you clearly spent a lot of time on those at the dentist's, because clearly I didn't. Rather, I'd like people to, you know, look at me and be like, oh, hey, you work out a little maybe? Or I've heard you've been to China. Tell me about that, man. You know, that's really cool. Because that's something that's more important about myself than what my face looks like. This, not that important. At the end of the day, people aren't going to love you or leave you just because you have a face that's a particular way. So, yeah, that's what I want to say about that. Guys, that was the video. I hope you had a reasonably good time. I hope you thought some thoughts. Please contribute down below with your own observations if you would like to. Beyond that, have a good day, a good evening, a good night, a good morning, a good whatever. And yeah, as always, take care.